1 a.m. on a June night in 2009. This aircraft is venturing deep into airspace considered a communications dead zone over the Atlantic Ocean. In the middle of the vast sky, silence descends. Strange sounds emanate. The ghost of the blue holy fire seems to signal something terrible is about to descend. The most experienced captain on the plane has gone to sleep. The cockpit atmosphere has never been so tense. Their plane is going down too fast. A promising journey suddenly plunges into darkness. Was there any supernatural force affecting the flight? Or is this just a tragic accident caused by technical or human error? Join us now as we delve into the story of the accident dubbed the Titanic of the skies. Air France Flight 447. On the night of May 31, 2009, Airbus 330-200 plane number AF447 took off from Rio de Janeiro City, Brazil, carrying 228 passengers, most of whom were Brazilian and French nationals. It is expected to land at Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris, France, at 9:10 a.m. GMT the next day. At 2 a.m. on June 1st, the captain of flight AF447 went to conduct a routine check, while two co-pilots controlled the plane in the cockpit. Soon, these pilots realized they were facing an emergency situation. The autopilot was disabled. The plane flipped to the right. The pilots tried to increase the plane's altitude, but the speed continued to decrease. In less than a minute, the speeds displayed on the main screen on the left side of the cockpit continuously changed. The plane still lost more than 3 kilometers altitude per minute, continued to dive, and the warning sounded again. In the 2 minutes and 48 seconds since the captain returned to the cockpit, all crew followed instructions from air traffic control. However, they could not save the situation. It is worth mentioning that Captain Marc Dubois, 58 years old, is experienced, and the aircraft model used was also the most advanced at that time, never being involved in any serious accidents. The disappearance of the Airbus A330-200 in 2009 shocked public opinion worldwide, especially when the airline admitted that it did not know where the plane was. After the incident, Air France as well as the French government hypothesized that the plane crashed into the sea, killing all passengers and crew. On June 6, the first two bodies were found, and the search then lasted for 2 years with the participation of many organizations. In May 2011, 2 black boxes of the plane were found at a depth of nearly 4,000 meters below the seabed. 3 years after the disappearance, an investigation report was published that shocked many people. The captain ceded control to the less experienced co-pilot to go to sleep. According to the revealed recording, Captain Marc Dubois said he only slept 1 hour the night before after having fun with his girlfriend, a flight attendant and opera singer in Brazil. Chief investigator Alain Bullard said, "If the captain remained in position when the plane encountered the Tropical Convergence Zone, ITCZ, his sleep would only be delayed for 15 minutes. And with extensive experience, the story might have ended differently." Progress of the accident. June 1, 2009, 1:36 Universal Time Coordinated. The aircraft entered the bad weather area of a tropical thunderstorm. While other flights on the same route changed direction to avoid bad weather, the crew on AF447 did not do so. Because the outside temperature was higher than forecast and the plane was still heavy due to being full of fuel, it could not fly higher to avoid the effects of the weather. Around 2 o'clock, co-pilot David Robert returned to the cockpit. Captain Marc Dubois stood up to give Robert his seat, but still let co-pilot Bonin control the flight even though Bonin had less experience than Robert. 2:02, the captain goes to sleep. 2:05, Robert called the flight attendant to inform passengers that the plane was about to enter bad weather. 2 hours 6 minutes and 50 seconds, 2 pilots turned on the anti-ice system because they were going through bad weather. 2 hours and 7 minutes, Robert discovered that the weather radar system was not adjusted to the correct mode. After adjusting, he discovered that the plane was going straight into a strong turbulence area. 2 hours 8 minutes and 7 seconds, speed sensor froze, siren sounded for 2.2 seconds, autopilot was disconnected, stall warning sounded. Actually, this was an incorrect warning. 2 hours 10 minutes and 7 seconds, Bonin pulled the stick back to tilt the plane's head up, bringing the plane higher, something that was impossible because of the high temperature outside, although the two pilots had previously discussed how high temperatures prevented the plane from flying higher. Because at this time the plane is controlled to raise its head, the speed is reduced, the lift force is suddenly reduced. In this situation, the pilots should have pushed the rudder forward to lower the plane and regain speed, but they did the opposite. Perhaps the two pilots thought that the bad weather below was more dangerous than above, and because the flight director system required it to be so. 2 hours 10 minutes and 16 seconds. The plane was climbing at a rate of 7,000 feet per minute and was losing speed. 2 hours 10 minutes and 27 seconds. Robert told Bonin to lower altitude, because there was a warning that the plane was climbing too high. 2 hours 10 minutes and 35 seconds. Thanks to the anti-icing system, one of the two speed sensors works again. 2 hours 10 minutes and 41 seconds. Robert realized the emergency situation, pressed the captain's call button. At this time, Bonin was still pulling the steering column back. Under normal circumstances, the aircraft system will not transfer any pilot controls, putting the aircraft at risk of stalling. But now the plane is in manual pilot mode, the restrictions are cancelled. Aviation experts believe that Bonin never learned to fly manually in such situations. He thought the warning system was wrong, not knowing that the restrictions had been lifted. 2 hours 10 minutes and 55 seconds. Remaining speed sensor works again. At this time, all systems on the plane work normally and the system's warnings are accurate. The stall warning sounded 75 times, but both pilots ignored it. At this time, Bonin still acted as if he were on the ground, that is, raising the nose of the plane and trying to reach the same speed as when taking off. But now the plane is at an altitude of 12 kilometers above sea level. The air is thin and the engine produces less thrust, so the lift is less. 2 hours 11 minutes and 21 seconds. Robert still did not know that Bonin was pulling down on the steering column. Because Airbus's two steering levers are asynchronous and operate independently. When one pilot pulls the stick, the other pilot doesn't feel anything. 2 hours 11 minutes and 43 seconds. The captain returned. 2 hours 11 minutes and 47 seconds. The plane is falling at a vertical speed of 3 kilometers per minute. Angle of descent 41 degrees. The captain was still sitting in the back, not at the wheel, and did not know the rudder was being pulled down. Perhaps the captain did not want the situation to get worse by forcing one of the two pilots to stand up and give up his seat. 2 hours 12 minutes and 15 seconds. The pilots realized that the plane was descending very quickly. Robert pushed the stick to lower the nose, but was still offset by Bonin's pull on the stick. The plane's nose remained pointed. Go up. 2 hours 13 minutes and 43 seconds. Robert took control, lowered the nose of the plane, but still fell very fast. Only 600 m left, and there was not enough time to accelerate by pointing the nose down. Without warning, Bonin regained control and pulled the steering column all the way back. 2:15. The plane crashed into the sea. Later, Air France and manufacturer Airbus still argued about the main cause of the tragedy. Was it the pilot or equipment error? The airline denied that their pilots were incompetent. But later, the airline improved its training, focusing on how to fly the plane when encountering a stall. Both Air France and Airbus later faced manslaughter charges, and a judicial investigation was conducted by judges in Paris. The trust in the state-of-the-art aircraft model is no longer intact. The overwhelming disappointment in Air France's service culture is also broken along with many victims who still remain at the bottom of the deep sea.